Man has the possibility of existence after death. But possibility is one thing and the realization of the possibility is quite a different thing. Most men live in order to make a living. When they have that, they live in order to make a good living. When they have that, they die. This comment can be developed into a demonstration of human immortality. This demonstration could be stated as follows. It is the destiny of every human being to make a good living. If he dies before he does that, he has not fulfilled his destiny. But if he makes a good living, then he has achieved his destiny. But the destiny of making a good living cannot be that he is supposed to die, but, on the contrary, that he is supposed to live well on his good living. Ergo, man is immortal. The anxiety about death is met in two ways. The reality of death is excluded from daily life to the highest possible degree. The dead are not allowed to show that they are dead, they are transformed into a mask of the living. The other and more important way of dealing with death is the belief in a continuation of life after death, called the immortality of the soul. This is not a Christian and hardly a Platonic doctrine. Christianity speaks of resurrection and eternal life, Platonism of a participation of the soul in the transtemporal sphere of essences. But the modern idea of immortality means a continuous participation in the productive process. If it is necessary that each sentient being must have the possibility of achieving an overwhelming good, then it is clear that there must be some form of life after earthly death. Despite the many pointers to the existence of God, theism would be falsified if physical death was the end, for then there could be no justification for the existence of this world. However, if one supposes that every sentient being has an endless existence, which offers the prospect of supreme happiness, it is surely true that the sorrows and troubles of this life will seem very small by comparison. Immortality, for animals as well as humans, is a necessary condition of any acceptable theodicy. That necessity, together with all the other arguments for God, is one of the main reasons for believing in immortality. Death is only the change that gives the soul a partial liberation, releasing him from the heaviest of his chains. It is but a birth into a wider life, the return after great exile on earth to the soul's true home, the passing from a prison into the freedom of the upper air. Death is the greatest of earth's illusions. There is no death, but only changes in life conditions. Life is continuous, unbroken, unbreakable, unborn, eternal, ancient, constant. It perishes not with the perishing of the bodies that clothe it. We might as well think that the sky is falling when a pot is broken, as imagine that the soul perishes when the body falls to pieces. The attitude toward death is a very important indicator of the character of the teaching, for in it is contained the understanding of reincarnation. I urge you to consider reincarnation strictly scientifically. If you can't propound any other structure of the universe, we shall reserve for you a chair as professor of theology and promise you a first-class funeral, for indeed in the eyes of the enlightened you will have already decided to die. Read attentively the writings of the teachers and you will be amazed at how unanimously in all ages they speak about the change of life. The path of light will appear when you venture to look scientifically and without prejudices. Our bodies are prisons for our souls. Our skin and blood, the iron bars of confinement. But fear not. All flesh decays. Death turns all to ash. And thus, death frees every soul. Death, as the human consciousness understands it, pain and sorrow, loss and disaster, joy and distress, are only such because man, as yet, identifies himself with the life of the form and not with the life and consciousness of the soul. What a power has death to awe and hush the voices of this earth! How mute we stand when that presence confronts us, and we look upon the silence he has wrought in the human life. We can only gaze, and bow our heads, and creak with our broken, stammering utterances under the shelter of some great word which God has spoken, and in which we see through the history of human sorrow the outstretching and overshadowing of the eternal arms. Death, to a good man, is but passing through a dark entry, out of one little dusky room of his Father's house into another that is fair and large, lightsome and glorious, and divinely entertaining. Death is one of two things. Either it is annihilation, and the dead have no consciousness of anything, or, as we are told, it is really a change, the migration of the soul from this place to another.